Welcome back to this week's pull, or as Josh would like to say,
What are we reading?
And before we get started, we just wanted to make sure that you guys remember that embedded somewhere in this video is going to be a code phrase. If you guys come in tomorrow, give us that code phrase, you will get 20% off a single issue that is not on your pull list. So get your pull list. If there's something else that catches your eye, you watch this, give us the code phrase, get 20% off that single issue. And we are going to be unveiling our new rating system for the week. So to do that, we'll be Dallas kick it off with Multiple Man issue 1.
All right, so this one is my challenge of the week. Every week I try to challenge myself to read something I normally wouldn't. This is my one. The creative team behind this is Rosenberg, MacDonald, and Bond Villain, as goofy as that sounds.
Bond Villain.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about Multiple Men, so I had to ask a few questions. But the story starts off with the New Mutants. They're entering this facility, and they actually find someone, and you find out that is actually Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man, and he appears to be very sick and dying, and they take him to Beast, and he's singing a Oingo Boingo song, which is kind of funny and caught us all off guard. They basically find out that Jamie Madrox has been dead for a while, and this is just one of his clones from the Prime version, and his cells are deteriorating and his organs are dying, and he's basically pleading with Beast, hey, you need to fix me, cure me, you're better at science than I am. I happen to be the quote-unquote science clone, but I'm not as good as you are. I've tried to formulate, and that's how I've stayed alive for so long, because I've made serums, but I need you to fix me. And it goes through him talking to people in the mansion, and while it's doing this, it's Beast overlaying talking, explaining, like, basically, I don't think I can do this in the time frame before you die. And he makes him promise, Jamie Madrox makes him promise that no matter what happens to him, he'll keep working on it. And you find out he goes and asks if Bishop's around, and the reason he's doing this is to get one of his time mechanisms, whatever you want to call it. And he uses it to go... This is where I got a little confused. He uses it to go into the quote-unquote future. We don't know for sure because he's kind of gone for a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the future, and he comes back to Beast, and it seems like it's been about, 7 minutes since he's been gone. So Beast, he's like, hey Beast, did you solve this? And he's like, no, it hasn't even been that long. How would I fix this? And he actually runs into the clone that's in that time, and they absorb one another. And they're trying to understand basically what had happened to him when he was gone, wherever he went. Jamie Madrox understands, but he doesn't explain. So the readers have no idea where he went. You progress a little further, they're basically asking for answers from him, and we get a nice surprise, several cameos at the end. I'm not going to say what they are, but they're unique interpretations is all I'll say.
Yep, I can agree.
Yeah.
So, we all read this one.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to unveil our new rating system. This one was an entertaining read for me. I don't know a whole lot about the characters, so at times I was a little confused. So, that is going to negate my rating just a little bit. So, I'm going to give this one 3.25, 3.5, somewhere in there. Confluctors.
All right, so 3.25 to 3.5 confluctors. Okay, Josh, your thoughts?
I'm going to give it a 2.5 confluctor.
2.5.
Yeah, the beginning of this book seemed kind of gimmicky at first. And, I mean, the ending definitely has me interested and intrigued to continue reading. I might give it a second issue, but for right now, it just kind of felt like an issue that's going to be here and then gone in, matter of issues.
So how many confluctors would you give it?
2.5 confluctors.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah, I read as well. The only thing that really sticks out to me is that this kind of feels like season 4 of The Flash with like the time remnant of Barry. I thought it was interesting to give Multiple Man his duplicates. They're kind of amplified aspects of Jamie Madrox. Right. So like as you said, this one's kind of a scientific mind. So it's part of like the science part of Jamie Madrox.
It's really confusing to explain.
I mean, I get it, but it's hard to explain. And then the end is the only thing that has me curious to keep reading. Other than that, I'm like, God damn it, a Savitar kind of time remnant, leftover version of Jamie Madrox.
Spoiler alert, ruining the Flash season, what was that, 2, 3? 3.
4. Wasn't it?
Savitar was 3.
Oh, was it 3?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, season 3.
The spoiler alert, guys. I'm sorry.
Guys. Yeah, but anyway, I'm gonna give it 2.25 confluctors.
Wow.
It's an okay read if you're bored or you feel like you got a light pull. This isn't a bad thing to pick up, but it's nowhere near my favorite thing I read this week. So.
I have to agree. The ending was the best part to me, and as you guys said, it keeps me at least for another issue or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, on to your top pick, or your first pick this week.
First pick this week is Teen Titans Special number 1. This book is written by Adam Glass. The pencil is done by Robson Roca. Yeah, I always keep wanting to say that wrong. This book is kind of introducing, it's supposed to be a prelude to Teen Titans 20, which is supposed to be a new introduction to a complete new Teen Titans team. Not completely new because we still get a couple of the same members.
Well, the creative team changes too, right?
Yeah, the creative team does change. This kind of gives you an idea, just kind of a little like, hey, this is what's going to happen. First portion is Robin, and it's just kind of discussing where he's at right now. Now, these also follow events after No Justice. They kind of mention that a couple of times in here. But it's also before Flash Wars. Just so that's one thing that needs to be brought up. You see Robin, and it's kind of what he's going through and this problem that he's trying to figure out and solve. I'm not going to go too much because it's really not, I don't feel like it's really all that important. Just kind of give you an idea where he is and his mindset. Then it goes from there to Emmy?
Yep.
Yeah, Emmy, which is Red Arrow, Green Arrow's sister. And it goes to her fighting with her mom. So there's a lot of really dysfunctional family thing going on there. And so you see, kind of get an idea of where she's at this time and where her mindset is at. Then after that story's over, you jump to a story following Wally West. Politically correct Wally West, as the comic likes to call him. And he is in California, just chilling out in California, because apparently California is the place you ought to be. So you gather if you're trucking to move to Beverly Hills. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's in California and he's having to have a confrontation with the Suicide Squad. And Wally number 1 comes in to kind of save the day. And
OG Wally?
OG Wally.
Okay.
Yeah. He comes in to save the day and kind of don't stop the Suicide Squad. And Wally doesn't agree with this. He doesn't understand why are we doing it like this. And Barry's like, well, you just got to understand. Or not Barry, but Barry told me and I had to understand it. Now you have to understand it, that sometimes everything's not black or white. So this whole story pretty much is to kind of give you an idea. These 3 main characters that they're fed up with grown-ups. Parents just don't understand. They're telling us, Robin's like, hey, Batman wants me to do things this way. Fuck it, I don't like it. Maybe I want to kill a dude every once in a great while. And M's going, my mom is a bitch. I don't like my mom. She's an assassin, blah, And Wally's like, fuck Barry and Wally. What the fuck they know? They don't know shit. So that's the whole premise, is they don't understand. And it ends with Robin going, I gotta form a team. But it's not gonna be some backward ass Dick Grayson team. I don't mean to spoil it, but that's you kind of already get the gist that that's what this book is supposed to be.
Does it remind you at all like the Titans special that just came out not too long ago? It was kind of a recruitment effort book.
It's kind of a recruitment effort, but I feel like it's more just trying to get you to understand these characters, where they're at in their mindset at this time. Titans felt like it was a story that was trying to progress. This just kind of feels like they want you to understand why these teens are about to do what they're about to do.
Okay.
I thought the pencil in this was great. The story was fun. And it feels like it's going to have a dark, kind of gritty feel to it. A lot darker than most Teen Titans. I don't know for a fact. I got to wait until issue 20 comes out. But I think that this is going to be a lot darker than most Teen Titans. With that being said, I'm going to convey my rating on it, and I give it a 3.5 conflectors.
All right. Really?
Yes.
I also read this one. I have to agree with some of your points, how it does seem like it might be darker, but I also agree that it's somehow fun in the same sense. So that was my plus about the book. I actually really enjoyed it. When I read Teen Titans, I'm not worried about thick, heavy story plots. I'm more worried about having fun. And that's what I had with it. So I'm gonna be generous with it and give it 3.75 conflectors.
Yeah, I was kind of debating about it, but no, it was a fun read, and it's definitely what I expect from a Teen Titans book, but seems like it's going to be a little bit edgier, especially with that
there's a lot of angsty
Damian
teens.
falling it, and yeah.
All right, well, I didn't read it, so I'm just going to go on to my pick. So I read The Sentry, issue 1 by Jeff Lemire and pencils by Kim Jacinto. Okay, so if anyone's familiar with The Sentry, I've been following him since Bendis brought him under the New Avengers, and so that's where I became a fan of this character. I followed him all the way up until Siege, which was the quote-unquote death of Bob Reynolds' The Sentry. So anyway, this book kind of kicks off, and it kicks off in kind of a classic Jeff Lemire fashion. You're kind of not sure what's happening. You're not sure the timeline. You're not sure of the reality. And Kim Jacinto's pencils seem to really reflect a lot of Jeff Lemire's work in Black Hammer, Dr. Star. It has that kind of grit feel to it. So right away, I know I'm reading a Jeff Lemire book, and then they pay homage to a lot of classic Sentry tableaus, I should say, with him ripping things apart. If anyone remembers Siege, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Then they do this weird thing. It feels very on the nose, but also feels very consciously aware of what it's doing. It almost builds like a Superman / Captain Marvel family of Sentry characters, which I thought was really, at first I'm like, you fucking ripoffs. You know, like even the girl, her outfit's a straight up ripoff of Miss Marvel's costume, but just inverted colors and stuff like that.
Mary Marvel?
No, I'm talking about Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers Miss Marvel.
Just a color palette swap.
Yeah. And then again, so you know, it's if you know the Sentry, he's always battling with the void in his head, and so you find out that the Doctor Strange actually created this almost pocket universe inside of his mind because he has to be the Sentry every 24 hours. So every night after work, he goes in and he becomes the Sentry and battles the void in this like pocket dimension of his mind. And then you find out that the people he's working for in his normal civilian life are these characters that are like the Crypto and Superboy and like Supergirl or Mary Marvel and Billy. What's the other Marvel character? The boy, not Billy Batson, but the other. Either way,
I can't remember. It's like Marvel Boy.
Yeah, it's very much like that though. But then you start to realize that this is all kind of like a shady, covert op, government-sanctioned thing that Bob has to do. He has to check in every 24 hours because he's such a threat and such a liability. And Misty Knight shows up, and she's kind of part of this thing. It's called the ACD, I think, like that.
Yeah.
And we also get some classic images of Bob's house that lives on the top of Avengers Tower for a while, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then where we got our rating system this week was actually the Confluctor itself. The Confluctor is what was kind of devised to help Bob go into his consciousness and be the Sentry for overnight, for every 24 hours, so he can keep the void at bay. And you find out, some shit's going on, and it's missing, and you're not sure exactly what happens. It makes you curious about what happens in issue 2. But I enjoyed the book. I'm a big Sentry fan. Jeff Lemire, he's kind of hit and miss with me. This one, I'd say it doesn't feel like something he's poured his heart and soul into in this issue 1, but it definitely has promise going forward. So I'm going to say it's a solid read, and I give it 3.5 Confluctors.
I read it as well, and I am a pretty big Lemire fan. I really enjoy a lot of his work, especially of lately. And I was really excited to hear him doing a Sentry book. I really enjoyed it, especially the art. The art definitely screamed like a little bit more detailed and comic book kind of feel to it.
It reminded me a little bit of like a Black Hammer.
It reminded me of Black Hammer, but better.
Comic book version of Black Hammer.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like very classic superhero version of Black Hammer.
Which always looks really good with Lemire's words.
Yeah.
So I actually would give it about a 3.75 Confluctors.
Okay, Dallas?
I also read this one. Now, I'm not a huge Sentry fan, and the only reason I picked this up is Jake's kind of been hyping this up for a few weeks, and you have a poster in the shop. So I was like, you know what, I'll read it. I wasn't as into it. I like the setup, the dynamic setup between the personalities and how he's got to go into this pocket realm. But I'm going to be a little more harsh on it. I'm going to give it 3 Confluctors.
That's okay. So we're all kind of hovering around the same space here. And yeah, I was really hyped up to read the Sentry, and I think because I was so hyped up and so excited to read it that I got my hopes built up a little bit for it. But it's still a solid book. I would recommend picking it up if you're a Marvel fan, if you're a Jeff Lemire fan. I think either way you're going to find something to be happy about with it. So, all right, we're going to go straight into our new segment, which is just our pick of the week. And instead of doing it at the end, we're going to do it at the very beginning. I know I blindsided you guys with this on the last episode, so I felt like making it a little more structured. My pick of the week this week is Jason Aaron's and Mike Del Mundo's Thor #2. Now, for me, this is just a great read because not only am I a big Jason Aaron fan, I'm a big Thor fan, but I'm also a very big fan of God of War. And if anyone's played the newest God of War, it's very Norse mythology heavy. So there's a lot of characters in here that you'll find if you played that game that you'll appear in this book. Like Tyr comes back. There's mention of Draugr. There's mention of Baldur, Niflheim, Muspelheim, all these places, which of course have been in the Thor books before, but they seem to be a little bit more showcased here. And I don't think it's any accident that God of War came out not too long ago. Now for me, Mike Del Mundo, he's kind of hit and miss on this book. There's some great moments in this, and there are other times where I can't really tell what the hell's going on, but it reads so smoothly, you don't really care too much about it. But what's happening here is that, Jason Aaron has sown the seeds of the War of the Realms throughout all of the Mighty Thor run with Jane Foster as the Thor, so now that's all kind of coming to a head here. And you've got Tyr, Baldur, Thor, all the 3 sons of Odin, plus Loki, plus a couple other characters that they're all teaming up trying to figure out how to fight Cinder. What's her name? Damn it, Cinder. It's the daughter of
Surtur.
Surtur. Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
And there's there's some good jokes to be had. Of course, Thor still got his hammer stuff going on, where he's got a different hammer for different things, and that's kind of fun. It kind of makes him almost like the Punisher in a way, where he's got a different utility for any kind of mission.
Or it makes him like the god of hammers.
Right, or the god of hammers, yeah. But anyways, Muspelheim, Cinder, she's basically is trying to sow the seeds of dissent and try and like take over the entire universe, basically, and she's asking for help from all the most notorious murderers and stuff like that throughout the universe, and it's just a good book. Plus, you get the idea that while she's saying, "Hey, if you join me, then you're safe. But if not, I'm gonna behead you right here and now."
She makes it pretty clear.
Yeah, she does, and you also get the sense that maybe the people on Thor's side are maybe not exactly looking out for their best interests. They're not exactly the good guys, and it makes you kind of curious. But you also see that they're in league with like Scourge, who's Amora's executioner and stuff like that. So there's really no black and white here. This is all just gray area. But I also really like that Jason Aaron is expanding on Norse mythology. He talks about how fire and ice were like the two first primordial elements, and when they clashed, it kind of made the universe. And now Muspelheim, the realm of fire, and Niflheim, the realm of ice. And Niflheim is like the biggest realm in all of them. When you get little things like that, it just kind of builds on top of the mythology and makes it a little bit more believable for me as the reader to go, there's a lot of history here. So I just like those. I like those aspects that they're throwing in there. Loki is probably my biggest detriment to this book. I think he's starting to read a little too much Thor Ragnarok movie style. He's fun, he's jokey, but he's also kind of coming across as a coward. But anyway, this is definitely my pick of the week. Is the one I had the most fun reading. If I was going to give this one a grade, the very end panel is awesome, and it's definitely got me excited to come back for issue 3. I'm going to give it 4.25 conflectors.
Wow.
Yeah.
I also read this one. Keeping it very brief, I think my favorite part actually was because of a character we don't trust. You were talking about how we're not sure whether Thor's allies are really his allies.
Yeah.
But that seed was sown by someone we're not sure whether we can trust or not.
Exactly.
So it sets up the reader's debate, not just in the story, but a reader debate. Do we trust this or not? So I always like when a story can do that, and this artwork is phenomenal. So I'm going to give this one I'll go 4. I'll go 4 conflectors.
All right, and Josh didn't
read it. No.
Wow,
right.
You need to get on this, buddy.
Well, I didn't
I
read
had
Teen
other
Titans
stuff to
either.
read.
So
That's okay.
all right, so on to Dallas's pick of the week.
My pick of the week is Batman Beyond number 21. Now, I am a huge Batman Beyond fan. I've been following the entire Rebirth series, and I've been nothing but happy. The creative team on this is Jurgens, Conrad, and Barron, and I'm very impressed with Jurgens on all of these so far. I actually haven't disliked any Batman Beyond issues. This one is continuing. This is part 2 of the storyline Target Batman is what it's called. And they set it up in the last one where something is coming across as this demon like Batman Beyond, and it's terrorizing villains and regular people and citizens and heroes and police officers. So they all think Batman Beyond is this demon terrorizing the city now. So even the Jokers and like Commissioner Gordon are working together to get Batman Beyond. And it sets up this really weird, this question motive with you, as in obviously who's the villain in this, because they haven't shown anyone or hinted at anyone. But it's just weird to see at the end. I'm skipping through it because I have reviewed Batman Beyond before. But at the end, you get this riot around this Batman statue. And Batman is in the original Bruce Wayne Batman. And it's a riot, and he thinks he's protecting the civilians from the Jokers who are starting this riot. And in reality, the citizens and the Jokers are rallying and rioting together against Batman Beyond. Commissioner Gordon shows up and confirms that he's the target of the police force and they're trying to kill him. So I'll leave it at that. I really enjoyed it. As I said, I've been very impressed with this storyline. It feels exactly like the animated series to me when I read it. So I'm going to give this one 4.25 conflectors.
All right, before we turn on to Josh's pick of the week, your code phrase is, it's a dead man's party.
Remember that, it's important.
It's a dead man's party.
All right, Josh, and your pick of the week.
My pick of the week is Saga, chapter 53. I actually just recently got really into Saga, and I ingested like over 40 issues of it within the past 2 days. Within 2 days.
Yeah.
Because I've always read the first volume, but I've never read any more than that. And I always thought it was really good. It's just I had other stuff to read, and then finally I'm like, oh no, this is definitely going to be my top thing that I need to read. And pretty much this whole issue is just intense. Everybody is at some kind of standoff. you don't really know what's going to... You know something bad's going to happen, but you just don't know. Everybody's at a standoff. Is it Upshear?
Yeah.
Yeah, Upshear is... You're kind of worried about his fate. You're kind of worried about Sir Robot's fate. You're kind of worried about Squire's fate. Everybody's out. Like, what it is like the Will's coming back to seek revenge for Stalk.
The Stalk, yeah.
Yeah, to have her death, which is like way back in the first volume. And then you have Squire being held hostage. It's very intense.
You find out somebody got killed. Well, I'm talking about in the last issue.
Oh yeah.
And then
that person. Yeah, if you're reading it, then you know somebody else died in the last issue. But it's just very intense, and I really don't want to waste too much time going through it because my personal opinion is I feel like everybody needs to read it. I started jumping on reading this and started taking it serious because I had way too many people who I respect in the comic book community and I trust their opinions. They're sitting here finally going like, hey, if you're not reading Saga, like, what's the point of you reading comics? Like, you need to be reading... If you're reading comics, you need to be reading Saga. And I completely agree. And so with that being said, I'm going to give this a 4.0 Conflectors. I would give it higher, but the ending still has me a little torn up.
Yeah, I read Saga 53 as well. I think I'm one of those respected opinions that Josh was talking about when I told him he needs to read Saga.
No, it's not.
But no, Saga is a really good issue. Again, another book that really doesn't have a moral compass in it. You know, who's right, who's wrong. Everybody has fucked up, and everyone's quote unquote sinned in this book, and so no one's really blameless. So everything that's happening, you're like, yeah, you kind of all deserve this. You know, whether or not I like this character, if I'm looking at it objectively, you deserve this. It was a good book, and I'd say you nailed it right on the head. 4.0 Conflectors for me. It's not the best issue of Saga I've read, but that next issue is going to be a fucking doozy. So,
yeah.
All right, so now we're going to go into the last couple issues we've read, give really quick thoughts, give really quick ratings, but my next one is Hal Jordan the Green Lantern Corps number 47. It's dwindling down to the end of the Dark Star stuff. Robert Venditti is doing a great job, especially not with just Hal Jordan, but with Guy Gardner. He just constantly surprises me on being a fan favorite character in this book. Robert Venditti loves this guy. With this book, I'm going to give it 3.5 Conflectors for sure. I'm really excited to see this one, and I'm just sad to know it's going to be ending soon. The next one I read is The Thing in the Human Torch, or Marvel 2-in-1 Thing in the Human Torch number 7. This is a really damn good book, and honestly, when I read the first couple issues of Marvel 2-in-1, I was like, this is going to be okay, but since the last 2 or 3 issues, this book has gotten great. A lot of secrets being held in this one, and Doom is just constantly in the limelight and showcases just being one of the greatest characters in Marvel comic books. This one's easily 3.75 Conflectors for me. And the last one I read is X-Men Blue number 30, Cullen Bunn, Stockman. Nothing really of note here to read. I've just been reading it since the beginning, and if you had to follow Poison X and all this stuff, and who's Jimmy Hudson, if you do or don't know, but it's okay. It's dealing with morality. It's not my favorite thing. 2.0 Conflectors.
Wow, I think that one might be the lowest one so far.
No, he gave one last week
today,
a 1.0.
Oh, I meant today. Yeah.
Oh, today, yeah,
for
so
sure.
this one today.
So I only have one to discuss because everything else I had read was either Batman Beyond or something we all mutually read.
Yeah.
So mine is Man of Steel number 5, which you both actually did read.
Yep.
This one, I'll applaud that it's giving answers. Keeping it short, I'm not going to go into the story or spoilers. It's giving answers, which is what we wanted. I don't think it's the best one so far, but I don't think it's the worst one. I'm going to give this one 3 1/4 Conflectors.
I agree. I give it. Well, actually, you know what? I give it 3.0 Conflectors.
I debated going down.
Okay, well, I like this issue. This is probably my favorite issue since issue 1. I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. I really like the stuff with Jor-El. You know, it answered a few things for me that I had questions on. You know, everyone kind of getting involved in who's this Rogol Zar thing. That's got me interested as well. The only person I'm not really digging the way Bendis is writing right now is the Flash. Other than that, I'm going to go 3.0 Conflectors.
All right, so I guess I go down to my list, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you like Star Wars? Do you like Africa?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Okay.
Never been there.
Do you like Black Panther? Do you like Nakia? Do you like M'Baku?
Can you get on with it?
Okay. Black Panther, the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda is what I read, issue 2. It was really good. It definitely has a Star Wars feel. It was actually pretty good. The first issue, it kind of had me a little like, it's pretty good. I do suggest coming to pick it up and giving it a read. I give it about 3. I give it about 2.73. I'll give it 3.0 Conflectors.
All right.
I was a little conflicted about that. Okay. The other book I read was Batman Prelude to the Wedding, Harley versus the Joker. Hot garbage. I give it 1.0. And then the last book that I read, because I also read Man of Steel, but yeah, I already gave my rating. What am I fucking doing? Okay. Flash Wars, Flash 49. The first 2 issues of Flash Wars was great. I loved it. This issue kind of has me a little The artwork is kind of hit or miss on it. Out of all the Flash War issues, it's probably my least favorite. I'll give this one about a 2.75 Conflectors as well.
All right, well that variant cover is beautiful though.
Variant cover is beautiful. The artwork is fun at sometimes, but for the most part, I'm going to have to reread it because part of me was kind of like, I'm going to have to reread the last issue in this issue because I was kind of like, for the first time with Flash, I was kind of like, I'm a little lost here. Like, I'm a little confused on like where and when and who.
Well, I'm not caught up on Flash, so keep it to yourself. But all right, guys. Anyways, that was our this week's poll. We really hope you like it. We really have been appreciating the support you guys have been giving us. The last couple episodes have been getting a lot of views. We really appreciate it. Go ahead and comment. What are you guys reading? Let us know if there's something that you're reading that you think we should be reading, or something that you'd like us to review for you. Any recommendations are great. If you hated it, let us know. Hit that thumbs up button if you found this useful at all, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. We really appreciate it, and be on the lookout tomorrow for our podcast. We're going to take a break from the How to Fix comic books, and we might have something a little bit more fun in the works for you guys to listen to. So stay tuned for that, and take care.
Peace.